Welcome to another episode of the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker on this 16th of February, 2022. Hopefully everybody had an exciting and raucous Valentine's Day where you were throwing roses at everybody walking near you and gave them lots of trouble. Hopefully that happened. Today our client is Teddy Bear's Freedom Convoy.
Behold, trapped in a hellscape of their own invention, socially unaware old white men bound by the pretense of being fake lawyers yet knowing no law, no exquisite Latin terminology, they are inexplicably compelled to quibble over minutia, squabble over triflings, and bicker like those who value their backyards far too highly without even knowing the difference between an easement and an alleyway. At this very moment, you have entered the heart of the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker. Let's get started.
Today, the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker are not sponsored by the Happy Hour News Team, straight out of North Dakota. A podcast hosted by a cranky welder slash first responder and a really old babysitter slash last responder. They are an unconventional news team that has a few too many drinks and brings you the news you didn't know you wanted to hear. Sanchez Eldorado and Shanty Pants spared no expense finding you obscure stories about Florida man, unusual animal facts, and WTF stories while getting more and more intoxicated. All of their opinions are ambiguous at best and are intended as satire. Their humor is intended to be enjoyed by adults and the mentally challenged. So, kick off your shoes, pour a drink, because you'll need at least 3 to listen to the news you didn't know you needed. If you have a hot tip about a Florida man, want to wish Sanchez a belated happy birthday, or really enjoy making crank calls in the middle of the night, give them a ringy dingy at 701-369-0029. That's 701-369-0029. Brought to you by Fly on the Wall Productions. All right. Well, there is our sponsor for today.
That wasn't a fake sponsor. They just didn't pay us. That was the first time.
They have no idea that they did not sponsor us.
But this is the first time we've actually had a commercial for something that's real.
Well, you know, I didn't have a lot of time to deal with things today, and you didn't want to do this fake sponsors, so I had to do something fast.
No, I liked it. It was just as funny as anyone we've ever done. You made it funny.
Well, that's good. I'm just saying that, you know, you didn't want to do it.
I like the idea of Sanchez being a last responder.
As well as a really old babysitter. I thought they'd appreciate it. I don't know if they're still listening to us or not. I don't know if they still listen to the show. Because I know
you have
that
an emergency, Sanchez will show up the next day.
Shanty has like rules at work now. He can't like have headphones in or something, so he can't like listen to his podcast all day long like he used to.
Him.
Yeah, exactly. So
Fuck.
I don't know if he's actually listening to the show anymore. But anyway, so it's just me and Greg. Brendan is kind of on a sabbatical for I don't know how long. So one day Brendan will be back, everybody. I'm sorry if you're missing him. I know he's really good at reining Greg and I in to a certain extent, and he's often funnier than we are. So you know, that's why you're hearing me do sponsors more often, because Brendan's
He's the
around.
Fonzie.
Exactly. But today's client, after a much heated debate about what the client could be, today's client, once again, if I can say it, is Teddy Bear's Freedom Convoy. And that kind of puts together a few different points of popular culture. Now, back in the 70s, truckers were very popular in popular culture. There was the Smokey and the Bandit movies, and there was the country song Teddy Bear about some trucker going to help some little kid who's dying. And then there was the
CB Savage. Don't forget CB Savage.
I don't know who CB Savage is.
It's a famous trucker song, like novelty song, but incredibly homophobic.
Okay.
Look it up.
And then there was the song Convoy, which is, you know, all them truckers breaking the law and what have you, because they're.
But BJ and the Bear too, which is.
Oh yeah,
80s.
I was gonna bring BJ and the Bear up.
The trend was still going.
They had a monkey, and you know, it makes you wonder whatever happened to Greg Evigan. Did he have a career after that TV show? And why the hell do I still remember his name? That's the other question.
I think the monkey ripped his face off in the last episode.
The monkey ripped off his face.
And
that's why we never heard of him again.
Well, he's very popular in radio drama now.
Do you think the monkey's actual name was Bear, or did it have a different name?
I don't know. I think his name was Warren Worthington III or something.
Oh, was that it? Okay, he was also on Gilligan's Island.
A very fancy monkey.
He was also on Gilligan's Island playing Thurston Howell the Third.
Yeah, he was rich. He was richer than you or me.
It
He was
was
on
a
he was on a network TV show. Imagine
Well,
how much
yeah, I
money he
mean,
had.
you got to wonder though, like the pitch meeting, who came up with the idea of a guy driving a truck and he had a monkey? Was that like the time of the Clint Eastwood movies, Every Which Way But
Yeah,
Loose, where he had like an orangutan?
yeah,
But
yeah.
he wasn't a truck. I don't even remember what kind of jet. He had a
I think
pickup
he was
truck.
a trucker. Wasn't he a trucker
I
when he
don't
was
know.
big?
He had a pickup truck, but I don't think he had an actual semi that he drove around.
I thought that was the point. I thought that's why BJ and the Bear did that because they were like, we're just gonna rip off this movie, this
I
popular
don't
movies.
know. I don't know. But yeah, but either way, I mean, like, there's another interesting one, which is
Yeah.
a movie of a guy roaming around with an orangutan.
When I was a little boy, they actually had these trading cards, or I think they were stickers, but they were like trading cards of like CB stuff, and they'd have weird cartoons of like I know I had all the lingo on the back, so you could learn like breaker breaker,
All
Smokey
right.
Bear.
10-4, good
Like
buddy.
we were fascinated by that shit. Kids were actually like they were like ninjas in the 80s. Truckers were like our heroes.
Well, no, this is like the 70s.
That's what I mean.
You
But
said
then
the 80s.
yeah, in the 80s, ninjas became every kid wanted to be a ninja. And
I
then
think 80s, at least the early 80s, it was cowboys because of
really?
yeah, well, at least where I was living, because of the Travolta movie Urban Cowboy. Suddenly everybody was
Really?
wearing cowboy hats,
I
you know.
remember as adults, like would have the in bars, they'd have the riding bulls more.
Right, right.
But kids, we didn't give a shit about that movie. My friends were just like, "That's
It
a
could be
cruel."
just that my parents were really into country music, and that's how I wound up
Yeah,
having a cowboy hat on my head in eighth or ninth grade. I can't remember which year it was. I was wearing a cowboy hat. And the weird thing was I was living in Washington. But, you know, when CBs came out, my dad totally got into that. And he bought a CB, and he had his own handle, which is the term, everybody. And by the way, we should clear up what CB is for all of you young folks out there. CB stands for Citizens Band Radio. And it's essentially what truckers used to use to communicate with each other. It was like a walkie-talkie for truckers. And somehow they were able to communicate, whereas most people weren't doing that in their own vehicles. You think they would do that, you know?
we had a CB
Until
in our van.
until it became the bourgeois thing to do, which is to buy a CB.
Yeah.
So, what did your dad have his own handle as well, his own nickname?
I don't think he really used it. Like sometimes I think it came like almost like in the package when you bought a car. It was just like you might need a CB if there's an emergency.
It's the
You remember it's
package.
before cell phones.
They should still do that then. They should still give people the option for a CB in
Well,
their new
people have
cars.
cell phones now, so it's kind of moot. So it's like, but
Well, yeah, but the thing about CBs that's different is that you could talk to people whose numbers you don't have. It's not moot, actually, because basically you're driving down the road and there's a truck moving ahead of you, and he knows whether or not there's cops out there, so you can just talk about the guy's truck and say, "Hey, so and so, do you see any cops on the way?" And he'll be able to talk back to you
could
because
CBs do that though? Could CBs like I could
talk
see
to
your
people. Yes, they could talk
No,
to
no, I
people.
know they could talk to people, but I could see your truck ahead of me and like point that truck out on my CB and be like, I want to talk to that guy who's right
No, you
there.
don't point it out. You say it over the
Yeah.
microphone.
So
You-
he might be
so
listening or might not.
More than likely, they were listening because they were always listening. But you don't. It depended upon what channels. You know, they would say breaker 19, breaker 23. Those are the numbers of the channels. So
Okay.
you would announce yourself on a channel to find out what trucks are on that stretch of
The
road you happen to
trucker
be
in
on.
front of me, say a trucker's in front of me, I want to talk to him, but
Yeah.
he's on breaker 23 channel.
Yeah.
I don't know that, so I'm just like, I could figure out a way to talk to that trucker 100 yards away from me.
Yeah, there's that
That work.
potential. Yeah, it sounds like your dad never actually took his CB out of the package and
He
used it.
barely used it, and we used a CB. Me and my friends had a CB in the basement. Like we'd all have like fun party nights, and we'd get on the CB. And this is weird. What do they call it on the internet when you catfish? My friends, because
You were catfishing truckers?
yeah, we were like 12-year-old kids. So we sounded, we had high-pitched voices, and we would get on the thing and see what the nasty things that say. We'd be like, "Hi, I'm a lonely woman. How you doing?" Smoke, whatever. Give him some trucker name. And
So wait a second. So you and your friends would pretend to be girls,
yeah,
and you would. How old were you at the time?
Like this is like 10 to 12 or
So
even
10 to 12
9.
years old, you're calling truckers on your CB at the age of 10 or 12
Because we couldn't hear naughty
to try
words.
and entrap them in like a pedophilia.
We weren't gonna
pedophilia
do
scheme.
anything about it, but we just laughed. We just were like, "Oh my god, he's cursing and saying all this gross stuff." Because we grew up in the age where we couldn't see porn, we couldn't see any
Yeah.
naughty words on TV,
Right.
couldn't get no rated R movies. So it was just like, "Whoa, what is this guy gonna say?" And they'd say nasty shit. Like, "Oh, I'm gonna come over there soon and whatever, give you a lube job," whatever. Like gross, sexy stuff, sexual stuff.
Okay, well, we never put it to uses such as that. My dad, because it was in my dad's car, and so we'd do like road trips, and he would pull out the CB, and his handle was the Tennessee Talker, was his handle, because my dad was from Tennessee, and apparently he liked to talk. He didn't really talk to me and my brother much, but he did have a gift of pontification, which is where I think I get mine from.
So he wouldn't just talk to the truckers for advice, like where's the Smokies? He'd just have long conversations about Sartre.
No, he wouldn't. He would definitely not have. Right. He was talking about where did porcelain come from. That's what he most wanted to find out. It's like, can we turn lead into gold? He was calling truckers up to see their opinions and how successful they've been at alchemy, is what the conversations would be on the
Truckers
CB.
get that shit. They know.
They are. If anybody can figure it out, it's a trucker. So, but just so people know, and I want to welcome anybody who's on TikTok who's just seeing my side of the conversation. We're Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker. We're live on YouTube right now. It's just me and Greg, who's one of the other members of the Law Offices. We don't have a guest today. And our client is Teddy Bear's Freedom Convoy. So, this particular client came out of the fact that there's this major issue going on in Canada right now where there's truckers, and I don't know the details so well, everybody, but I think it's that there's truckers who are blocking the border from the United States to Canada because they're against the COVID restrictions the Prime Minister Trudeau has put down regarding truckers who cross the border having to be in quarantine when they come back to Canada, and they don't like that. And so it's kind of like the conservative Canadians who are involved, the anti-Trudeau. They're not like pro-Trumpers in Canada, but they're anti-Trudeauers in Canada. So you have to kind of look at it from that perspective. And this caused the Prime Minister of Canada to invoke something called the Emergencies Act, which is, and he's the only Prime Minister who's ever done that, to basically make the truckers stop. You think he could have just gotten on the CB and pretended to be a little boy like you, Greg, and say that he's dying and get all the truckers
like Teddy Bear?
Exactly.
My dying wish is that you stop this convoy.
I'm Justin Bear Trudeau.
No, I'm curious though, did Pierre Trudeau also ask that the monkeys stop their behavior? All the truckers monkeys?
Well, Pierre Trudeau is not the Prime Minister of Canada.
I'm sorry, Hank Trudeau, whatever his name is. Harvey
Justin.
Trudeau.
I just said his name. It's Justin.
Yeah, I know. So
it's time for like Gen Xers and Millennials to be in power when someone named Justin is now running things. It's not really an
what about
older
if his
name.
name was Hunter Trudeau?
Then he would definitely be a millennial.
But I mean, I'm just curious if Justin Trudeau also like appealed to the monkeys that every trucker apparently has. So, can you do something about this?
When you get your semi, you get a CB and you get a monkey.
Standard. Come standard.
Do you get your choice of monkeys whenever you buy your truck?
So what kind of simian would you like with that? Orangutan, chimp.
Take out my monkey menu. Everyone needs a monkey menu so they can make choices about like what kind of monkey they should have as their sidekick. It's like we were talking about in the last the MCU episode about sidekicks, and why don't more people have sidekicks? Really, truckers should have sidekicks, and I think monkeys work well with that.
They're lonely. Yeah.
If you could have a sidekick, Greg, what would your sidekick be?
If I was a trucker, or just
just you right now.
As a dishwasher.
As a dishwasher.
Kind of a sidekick.
Yeah, you'd be like the only dishwasher with a sidekick, a guy who goes around, he helps you with your scraps with the law, or whenever you're trying to fight crime as a dishwasher. Lowly dishwasher by day, crime fighting dishwasher by night.
I mean, there's non-superheroic sidekicks. Just like a
Yeah.
sidekick is just like Potsy to Richie.
Yeah.
So if I just had a normal sidekick, I imagine my lifestyle, I'd have an imaginary rabbit named Harvey.
No, that's cheating. That's using a movie.
I know, but I'm a drunk, so that makes sense.
So you're allowed to cheat on the sidekick game that we're playing?
Cheating. It's a sidekick.
It's stealing somebody else's idea, Greg. We want full creativity from you.
Okay, then I'd pick a talking kitten. We just sit in my
a talking kitten would be your sidekick. That's the kitten. It'd have to be able to talk too.
I'd hide him in my hoodie all the time. He could give me advice and be like,
"That's called a pet, Greg."
I know, but if he was talking, it'd be more of a sidekick.
Yeah, I suppose. And would the kitten give you lots of advice?
He could.
What kind of advice would your talking kitten give you? Yeah, actually, what is the purpose of a sidekick? I don't really quite know that.
I think it's just a companion. You're like, it's usually the beta or zeta male. It's like, so there's the hero, and then he has a sidekick. He's not as cool as he is, but still the hero gets lonely. So the heroic trucker on these long hauls, he might want some weird little dude to be like, talk to him and talk his ear off during those long
monkey.
Like a guy named Sparky.
That wasn't Sparky on Speed Racer? Wasn't that the name of the monkey on Speed Racer? Wasn't it Sparky?
Could be, sure.
Or was that the kid's name?
What was his name? Beppo. I can't remember.
What wasn't Beppo like Superman's monkey or something?
Yeah, we talked about that 2 weeks ago. I was doing a callback. Because I was listening to that.
Chim Chim was the name of the monkey on Speed Racer.
Yeah, that sounds right. Chim Chim.
Yes, exactly. Well,
so what kind of sidekick would you want?
Or what sidekick would be the best to have with me? I think I would want a retired pope.
You mean a dead one? They just died.
There's like one retired pope. I want that guy.
Was there a pope ever just stepped down before he died?
Yeah, it was Pope Benedict. He stepped down like about 5-10 years ago, something like that.
Oh, I thought he died. So
he was the German one.
Yeah, he stepped down because they wanted him to. I think it was more of a like, get the fuck out of here. We'll let you step down and keep your dignity.
I don't know.
Nobody liked that guy because everyone thought he was a Nazi.
Did they really?
Well, I think just because he was German.
Well, I mean, the thing was, but I think he was too young to have been a Nazi.
I know. Well, he could have been a Nazi.
He could have been maybe.
Nazis today.
Well, that's true. I don't know. I thought he went out with dignity, from what I understand.
It seemed like nobody was that thrilled with Pope Benedict. Like, it seemed like Pope John Paul II. Everyone.
Well, you know better because you're raised Catholic. I didn't pay that much attention.
Pope John the Paul II. I'm sorry, Pope John the Paul. Pope John the Paul the II. I think I told you this
story. Pope John the Paul II.
When I went to Italy, unfortunately, the first time I go to Italy, first time I go to Europe, and I'm 40, in my 40s. I'm like, wow, I get to go to Europe. This is great.
Wait, I got this great comment from TikTok, Greg. It says that I need to start flossing.
Wow. So, that's constructive criticism. I like it.
Apparently, I guess should start now.
And he's going to be like, Greg needs to stop drinking so much and lose some weight.
No, I think it was a woman who said it. So she's being kind, apparently. So she's trying to give me some useful advice.
I think it's Lavana.
I'm like, at my age, if I'm not flossing now, good luck getting me to do it. So,
I think it's your wife.
I actually keep all the food particles in my teeth for shows such as this to make sure everybody can participate in my bad hygiene.
That could be a new segment on our show, Flossing with Matt. That could be good.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
But I was just saying, when I went to Italy, I had the bad misfortune that the Pope fucking died right when I was hitting Rome. The whole city was shut down. I was like...
Rome or Vatican?
Well, Rome, and the whole city of Rome was shut down, and then the Vatican area was shut down. I mean, it was a big thing. Like, they loved him.
Yeah.
Apparently, a third of the population of Poland was in Rome that week.
Wow, the third of the population.
If you were in Poland at that time, if you lived in Poland, 1 out of every 3 people you knew would just be gone. It'd be
It was
like a
like
science.
it's like the rapture hit Poland.
Exactly.
It's like
They were, and
suddenly everyone's gone.
the streets were choked with like 10 cities, and they had giant screens up of the.
So nobody had a good seat because everybody was behind a pole.
But they seem to be having like a
Oh,
festive time.
was the joke lost on you? That's sad.
Yeah.
You ignored.
I gotta say, it's the sound of this new computer. I could barely hear it. Sorry.
You ignored the joke. All right. Well, let's break that joke down then. So, because you don't go to sporting events, a lot of times the worst seat you can have, or say a concert for that matter, is sitting behind a pole. Like, you're stuck and you can't see behind it. So, while you were in Italy during the time that the Pope had passed, John Paul II, and all the Polish people were in Italy, they are called Poles, people from Poland. And so, if you're behind anybody, and there were so many of them, everybody had a bad seat. Because everybody
I
was
heard that joke
stuck behind a pole, so you didn't have to hear me break it down.
Are you gonna start telling Polak jokes now?
No, I don't use that word. I'm not doing racist jokes, Greg.
They were lighthearted racism, those Polish jokes, though.
Yeah, if you weren't Polish, it's easy to say that. I'm not Polish, but the fact is that people take advantage of these things because they go, well, the person's not there, so it's okay for me to say it. It's just one step away from bullying. What?
I wonder if there's a strip club where they have pole dancing, where it's just the dancers go on a pole. A Polish guy.
That's probably the name of like every strip club in Poland is called pole dancing.
And you go inside, it's just some old guys doing this cute little folk dance. It's like, that's not what I wanted.
I want to see that guy strip. Some old Polish man. What is the national garb of Poland anyway?
This is a bad joke.
No, I'm wondering if you know. I was wondering if you could answer the question.
I was picturing them wearing kind of lederhosen type things. Something like that.
Lederhosenly?
Yeah, not things? Exactly like German lederhosen, but something cutesy like that, like with little fringes and.
It's Polish hosen.
Polish hosen.
Polish hosen. I'm trying to find some information, but I'm not.
But how many Polish people does it take to get into some Polish hosen? That's the question.
Well, probably one, because most people only need themselves to put on their clothes. So.
You're the worst comedian ever. You even try.
It's a good thing I'm not a comedian. I mean, when I did stand-up comedy briefly way back in the day, and I realized that I don't do good at it. I'm not good at stand-up comedy because I didn't like writing jokes, and I work better not necessarily better, but I prefer extemporaneous communication. That's more entertaining for me. And the other issue is that I didn't really care about entertaining the people in front of me. I cared more about entertaining myself. So if I wasn't entertaining myself, then it wasn't really worth it for me. I've learned this about myself. Like, my extreme narcissism requires.
Well, that's how playing punk rock was for me. I never cared about the audience. I had a good time tonight. There was 2 people there. Nobody liked it, but there was a great show because I had a lot of fun.
See, that's what's important. You have the 2 people who were there who didn't like it, right? And then you. And that's all that mattered.
Yeah. Well, I had a good time, so I win.
Yeah.
They lost, unfortunately.
You'll always be the winner.
I feel sorry for them.
I realized that we should probably have we hit the halfway mark yet?
No, I don't have a clock.
Well, I think we started about halfway on the hour. It's a little after 5 right now.
I could check when the last time you called me or I called you, because then I think we were on the phone for like what?
Well, we're in a weird lull talking about the convoy, so I figured this might be a good time to bring Waspy into the mix. So why don't we bring in our?
We started at like 4:20, I think, because it says, or no, Pride of Laughter.
We'll bring in everybody's favorite horrible cook. I don't know that it's everybody's favorite, but at the very least, it's our favorite horrible cook. So let us
say that either, Matt.
What?
I wouldn't say that either.
No, you wouldn't agree to that.
I don't know.
Let's just get it started. Who knows what is going to be on the on the grill today.
Food is for eating, food is for eating, food is for eating with Waspy Soda Pop.
Hey there, everybody. This is Waspy Soda Pop, another edition of Food is for Eating. Today, we got a treat for you, black rice pudding. Let's get into it. Here are the ingredients. 6 cups of whole milk, divided. Let's make sure it's on political lines. That's the only way you can divide whole milk. So then you get a half cup of sugar, half teaspoon of salt, 1/2 cup of long grain white rice. You can use like a heaping half cup. That'd be work too. Get 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. You want to take that right out of the country if you need. Get a helicopter, and you can get your vanilla the right way. Then you want some ground cinnamon. That's optional. Sprinkle a little bit later. And then 4 cups of fresh pig's blood. All right, on to the instructions. In a large saucepan, you combine 5½ cups of the milk, sugar, 3 cups of the pig's blood, and salt. Bring that to a boil over medium-high heat. You stir in the rice, reduce heat to low. Be sure to adjust the heat so that it is at a gentle simmer. It cannot be rude. It must be very polite. Stirring occasionally. Cook for 50 to 60 minutes. The mixture should thicken up to the consistency of yogurt. Whether that's Greek yogurt or Yoplait, I'm not certain, but something like that. Then once thickened, remove from the heat. Stir in the vanilla. Let it cool. Then refrigerate. The last half cup of milk and the final cup of pig's blood is stirred in just before serving. Sprinkle with cinnamon if desired, and there you go. You got your black rice pudding. I'm Waspy Soda Pop, and this is Food is for Eating. Well, alrighty.
So what kind of rice pudding was that?
It's black rice pudding made with
rice pudding.
Pig's blood. So it'd be kind of it's got sugar in it, so it's like a savory thing.
Savory but sweet.
Savory yet sweet, yes. But then you add a cup of pig's blood just before serving, though.
Yeah, as gravy. It's like you want to taste the pig's blood. You don't want it all boiled in.
You want to get that. You want to get it like washing throughout your mouth. That nice taste of copper.
Yeah, that trichinosis yumminess.
Oh yeah, trichinosis yumminess. That's usually those two things go together. I believe.
Is it raw pig's blood? So it's not like that pig's blood. It's cold pig's blood.
It's fresh pig's blood. It was part of the ingredients. So
yeah, that does not sound healthy. I think we should have a redaction of this waspy
redaction. So if we can do like that as the client next week is using the word redaction.
No, we should have
we've said it this week. We can bring it up next week.
We should have one of those warnings like, please do not cook this at home. Waspy cooks his own meals.
Yeah, because we hope people realize that the recipes that Waspy Soda Pop makes really should not be tried or consumed by anyone. Most of them do not have palatable things within them, or they're just gross and nasty. So yeah, we do have to give a disclaimer.
Yeah,
I think
dangerous
for the morons out there who eat Tide Pods that they should not try the Waspy. You know what? This day and age, there's going to be people, if we ever had any popularity for this podcast, we would have some jackass somewhere actually trying out the recipes to see if they could make them in the way that they're stated. And then that would both be flattering and horrifying at the same time. I don't think...
Be flattered that there's 50 people in the hospital. You'd be like, wow,
I'm flattered we were able to poison an entire town in Indiana.
People listen to what I say. They care.
That wasn't what I say. It's what Waspy Soda Pop says.
Yeah, I know, but we put him on the air, so we're responsible.
He's the charismatic one of the group.
We're responsible for airing his views.
Right. Speaking of airing views, you know what time it is now, Greg? It's time for Ask Greg. It's
my jingle. That's
for your segment, exactly. So let's get that show on the road, okay? Okay? Are you ready for it? Let's do it.
As always.
What? What the hell? Where's my button? Here's my button.
He has an opinion, may not always be right. He's a real fake lawyer. He's old and he's white. Ask him a question, 'cause he's a good egg for bogus advice. Ask Greg. Ask Greg. Ask Greg.
Greg.
I like that you're singing along with it now.
I love it. I have a fucking jingle. You don't have a jingle.
I don't. It's true. Well, yeah. I mean, it's all my jingle, Greg. All of it.
In your head, I'm sure
All
you're
of them,
just
all of
singing
the
jingles. In your
everywhere
brain,
I
you're just
go,
going
there's
like,
theme music playing in my head.
you're like, Matt is a cool guy. Look at Matt go to the 7-Eleven. Go, Matt.
You know,
Buy
the
some beef
weird thing,
jerky.
Greg, just now is that 7-Eleven was the example that I was going to be using. And the fact that you picked that up shows that we know each other far too well.
Yes.
Yes, so, yeah, when I go to the 7-Eleven, there's theme music playing. It's like from Gary Shandling show. It's the Matt Baracci show. This is the theme to Matt Baracci show. It's Matt Baracci show. It's the theme to his show. It's his show. It's Matt's show. Welcome to my show, everyone. And Greg happens to be here too. He is actually my sidekick, and he doesn't even look like a monkey. But we're doing Ask Greg, so that is the segment right now. So, Greg, here is something. In Maine, there's a law which says you cannot advertise on tombstones. I think that should be revoked. What do you say from your perspective as a fake lawyer?
I totally agree.
Do you think advertising should be legal on tombstones?
That's an impingement on freedom of speech. It's, I mean, I don't even have to be a lawyer to tell you that.
It's an impingement?
An impingement. That's a legal term. You might not know. It's an impingement.
It's like encroaching slightly?
It's an impingement.
It's an impingement.
It's an encroachment of freedom of speech.
Is it encroaching on your freedom of speech?
Yes.
Or is it an infringement? Is that what you're really going for?
Infringement is a less legal term. Sorry, I'm not talking to layman now. I'm talking.
I thought you were saying that it was a lusty legal term, and that made things change completely.
It can be lusty. You can advertise anything you want. You could advertise sex toys.
But on a tombstone. So what you're saying is that you would say advertise sex toys on tombstones.
Of course. Without a doubt. Anything you want.
Yeah.
Freedom of speech is absolute. It's a slippery slope when they tell us that we can't put advertisements on tombstones. Pretty soon you won't be able to write dearly beloved on tombstones. Or we loved our father. Or the date they were born. It's a slippery slope.
You couldn't say the date they were born on tombstones anymore if you can't advertise on tombstones? If
you give them an inch, they'll take a mile.
What about like political slogans? Would those be okay on tombstones?
Of course.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. Well, all right. How about this? In Maryland, there seems to be a law whether you're not allowed to curse while you're driving.
First of all, that's a lie.
What would it take to get that passed?
Oh, so it's not a law.
It is. Well, no, it's in Rockville, Maryland. Once you pass the line in Rockville, Maryland, profanity is illegal while driving on any street, which is weird because I've been in Rockville and I have cursed while driving in that town.
What if nobody heard you, like the windows were closed and somebody could lip read though and saw that guy just said fuck when he was waiting at that stop sign? Would that be applicable?
I think you would have to have actual evidence as opposed to just witnessing somebody's lips move.
What if a police officer could read lips?
Well, then, yeah. Then if a police officer witnesses it, you're screwed. It's kind of like if a police officer sees you driving without your seatbelt on.
This seems very much like that Tom Cruise movie, Minority Report. That's just what's... Nobody's offended. Nobody can hear you curse if you're just in your car. So... it's like they're looking into your brain.
Yeah, but Minority Report was about murders and stopping people before they kill.
What did I say about slippery slopes, Matt? They're slippery.
That you have difficulty with them because they're buttered.
They're slippery and they're slopey. And you start sliding down those slippery slopes, you don't know where you're going to end up.
So do you describe people with the word slopey also?
No, I wouldn't do that. Okay. I already made fun of the Polacks.
You did it again just now, using that derogatory term for Polish people.
You can't say Polacks anymore.
No, it's.
I think that's what you call a Polish person, a Polak.
No, you call them that if you're like some kind of a stevedore, a longshoreman. You'll call them that. Somebody who, I guess if you're of Polish persuasion, you could call yourself that, but somebody else calling you that, it can't be done.
So is the only word for it is a Polish person?
Or a Pole.
A Pole.
Yes, a Pole.
So is I tie okay? I saw an old gangster movie. They called all the towns the eye ties.
I think whenever you're taking people's nationality and making it into a derogatory term, then that's where it goes south. You know,
I
that's
know,
when
but
it
what if it was
becomes.
just like I don't want to say the whole
If you're
word.
doing it specifically to single out a race of people or a nationality of people in a derogatory way, regardless of what, even if you're using the word itself, like, oh, that Italian,
No, I didn't
it's the
say
way
that.
in which you're saying it is going
What
to
if I
be
said
derogatory.
the Polacks had the first democracy in Europe? Would that be a shitty thing to say?
Just that word, because it's kind of like, I mean, it's not like other very highly charged words to call people, but it's one that's not used,
Okay.
anymore, because it was used derisively for so long.
I had a
So
neighbor
many
named,
jokes are told about people from the nationality, and the fact is they're no different from anybody else. So,
I kind of knew this, but because I had a neighbor named the Polacks. I think it was pronounced Polacks.
yeah.
And once my sister, who was a sweet kid, she was like, Mrs. Polak. She started yelling at my, 10-year-old sister. Dad, how could you? We're the Polacks. Like, she was very sensitive about it.
Well, there's that comedian, Kevin Pollak, which his name
Yeah.
I'm sure got mispronounced a lot, and he had
Yeah.
to deal with. I don't know if he's of Polish descent or not. I don't know what nationality that is, but it all depends. But yeah, I believe that Poland did have like the first democracy in Europe. You could vote in your kings in
Yeah.
Poland, and you could vote out the king as well, which I thought was interesting because king usually was something that was derived from being connected to God, like your God's rule.
I also think that another positive thing about the Poles is that they're very communal and community minded, because like when they had a screw in a light bulb, they'd have the whole 10 people there, all to help out, just like building a barn with the Amish.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It's just like,
So you're saying the Polish people would go to help the Amish build barns?
no, I'm saying like that. They had a very nice communal social thing where like, you got to screw in the light bulb, whatever, Joseph, I'll be over. Me and my 9 friends will help you out.
Is Joseph a common name in Poland?
I think so.
It's not like Lech.
With an F. Yeah, Lech.
Lech.
Lech will be over. 10 of us will be over in an hour to help you out.
I wonder if that's where Ben Affleck got his last name from.
You think so?
I don't know. Affleck.
Lech.
That's the only other Lech I could think of. I couldn't think of anything else that went with it. I'm like, my mind, it's not working. I cannot get another Lech in my head. The
Polish person we know is Lech Walesa.
Like, how many Lechs does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop? I don't know. Probably
so
just
what was the question again?
One guy. I don't know, what question are you talking about?
Should Polish people be rounded up and put in camps? Is that
No, it's not. That was not a question that should ever be asked, let alone answered.
No, what was the question we were talking about? Headstones.
Oh, that was
cursing.
Cursing while driving.
Car.
Yeah. And somehow you went on your.
I'm a freedom of speech guy, and
well, apparently also illegal in Maryland is growing thistles anywhere in your yard, taking a lion to the cinema, and wearing a sleeveless shirt in a public park.
Taking a lion to the cinema. So, could you take a tiger?
That'd probably be fine. I would think it'd probably have to be like any wild animal or large cat.
Yeah, that's what they should say. Any illegal.
But you would have to specify like large cat, because maybe you could take your regular cat to.
But a wild cat though. You don't want a puma in a theater. You don't want a cougar.
No. Well, there's lots of cougars go to cinemas. That's how they find young guys to date.
They're the fun cougars.
Yeah.
They're not the dangerous kind.
Dad Joke Central today. Dad Joke Central. Like, when is it not? Oh, so the Happy Hour News team said they're going to write me a jingle. They were paying attention on YouTube. I'm just going to write, hey guys, for once. So I'm actually corresponding with people who are paying attention to the show on YouTube. I wonder if they were here in time to hear them not sponsor the show.
I think they sponsored us, though, even though they didn't give us money.
Yeah.
They're good wishes and love. It keeps us going.
Does it?
It's like PBS.
Good wishes and love.
They keep us going. They keep us on the air.
Well, it says we just have one person watching on YouTube, so that's the one person is it's either Shanty or Sanchez. So one of
or
those
it's a
guys.
trucker monkey.
Trucker monkey. I think if you ever had children, that's actually what you should name your first child, Greg.
Trucker monkey Pedix.
Trucker monkey.
Do you want to hear a really good story? I love this. This is a true story.
Or add Canadian to the front of this would be Canadian trucker monkey.
Cheetah from the
Yes.
Tarzan movies from the 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
No, chimps live a long time.
Okay.
He lived all the way to the 80s and 90s. And in his will, his trainer.
Cheetah. Who's Cheetah again?
Cheetah was the monkey. Cheetah. They go. I know it's not a. He's not
From
a
where?
cheetah. Oh, in the Tarzan movies.
Oh, the Tarzan movies. Cheetah. Okay.
So his trainer put in his will, or his owner / trainer. It was all this money we made. I made a trust fund for him. I love this monkey. I might die. I want him to have this mansion and a handler, someone to take care of him, and he can just do whatever the fuck he wants. So apparently Cheetah had a mansion in LA, or at least a nice house, a bungalow, and he would spend his days making paintings. My friend actually owns an original Cheetah painting. It's a very abstract, as you can imagine. Very Jackson
So the
Pollock.
retired monkey from Tarzan movies retired as an artist.
And he also loved to spend his days smoking cigars and watching Animal Planet. He watched TV all the time. He loved watching animals.
But strangely enough, his fascination was with Komodo dragons and their mating habits, in case you didn't know.
He had a lot of quirks. He was a quirky monkey.
He was a quirky monkey.
Quirky monkey.
Quirky trucker monkey.
But I'm not making this up. He really had this trust fund. And so then people would come in and be like, okay, I'll buy him food.
Wait, you're not making up the fact that the monkey was an artist?
I'm not. My friend owns an original Cheetah.
Okay. Whether they own something that has that name on it.
It cost about $200.
And did the monkey sign it?
With his paw print, probably. But after years though, because he lived to be 80 or something.
Did the monkey do impressionist or cubism or what kind of art?
No, it was very abstract, as you can imagine, but they were kind of beautiful. He had
they fed the monkey paint and he pissed on a canvas is basically what he did.
This monkey had a good color sense. He was the Jackson Pollock of the simian world. It was pretty nice stuff.
I don't believe you. I believe that he couldn't even operate an Etch-a-Sketch properly.
Look it up. I swear to God, it's true.
Look it up. Google it.
I didn't say that. I just said that it's true. I'm not lying. I would never lie.
Well, then if I can't Google it, where do I look it up, Greg?
On Google.
The Metropolitan Museum.
I just didn't say Google it.
It's MoMA. It's the Metropolitan Museum of Monkey Art.
Yeah, that's what it stands for. It's in a zoo somewhere. Right. But he also, after a while, his trainer got him off cigars because he loved the later trainer who took care of him was like, oh, this monkey's dying. He's coughing all the time. So he figured out a way to wean him off cigars.
Well, that's good that he got the monkey off cigars.
Yeah.
Had to wean him off cigars. Why were they giving him cigars? I mean, it's not like he was going to stores and buying his own cigars.
Yeah, I know, but that made him happy. So they were like, oh, that's in the will. Do whatever Cheetah wants.
Give him heroin too?
If he liked it, I bet they would have.
Yeah, sure. And notice he really had a great time when he was all strung out.
Makes him happy.
It's the junkie monkey. I didn't even know I was going to get a rhyme in today. Thank you for that opportunity.
He's got the monkey on the back. He had a monkey on his back. A smaller monkey.
A tinier monkey. Yeah, it's like if a monkey has an addiction, what do they have on their back? A spider monkey? It's a spider monkey on their back. But what if a spider monkey has an addiction? What's a spider monkey have on their back?
Pygmy marmoset.
I think they have a piñata. They got a piñata on their back.
A pygmy marmoset is the smallest simian.
You should never call your mother that, Greg, and I don't know why you're doing it.
They're this big. They're
wasn't that like a song from Michael Jackson?
Pygmy marmoset?
Yes. Marmoset. Isn't that the line?
It could. I don't know. It sounds good.
Does it? Okay. Well, I try. All right. Well, we've definitely diverged from our client for today once again, which is Teddy Bear's Freedom Convoy, and not fully delving into the whole issue of why these truckers are causing such issues in Canada.
I know why they are, because they're fucking idiots who don't believe in science, and they're like, oh, why can't we do what we want to do during a pandemic? Why can't we keep spreading a disease that's going to keep killing people? Oh, I don't understand.
I don't think it's they don't believe in science. There's plenty of people who believe in science who aren't getting
Apparently.
vaccinated.
Not really. If like almost every health expert says, yeah, you gotta like. Sometimes you can't do whatever you want. You can't go hang out with 4,000 people in a stadium without masks.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna start spreading things.
What do you think about the ending of the mask mandate here in Oregon, Greg?
Wait, I won't have to wear a mask anywhere.
Supposedly in March, the mask mandate's coming down, depending upon how things go with Omicron.
Well, selfishly,
Yes.
I actually work for a living. I'm wearing that mask.
Is that what you do? You work for a living? Because I know most people don't do that for a living.
No, I know a lot of people get to work from home and get to not wear a mask. Wearing that mask is fucking hell. Fucking hate it. And but yeah, I do it because I don't want to spread this. I don't want disease to spread.
Yeah. So you're gonna like wear a mask forever?
No. If they say it's safe, I'll trust the authorities because that's that kind of tool.
Well, you have to wear a hairnet too at work, don't you?
No.
You don't have to wear a hairnet? Yeah, no, but you don't want to get your hairs on the dishes that you washed.
Nobody does that anymore. Nobody wears a hairnet.
No, not even a burger
No, I think if you do have like super crazy long hair, but in my job, there's people with long hair.
Yeah.
They don't care.
They don't mind if it gets on the plates.
It's demeaning. Making people wear hairnets demeaning.
It's demeaning to keep things hygienic.
How often
It sounds to me like you don't believe in science, Greg.
I do.
Well, you should know the science is very clear that if you wear something over your head, it keeps the hair off of things.
Head often, unless you're in chemotherapy. Usually your hair stays put. Sure, every now and then a hair might fall off.
Usually your hair stays put. Tell that to all the bald guys out there. Their hair didn't stay put. Their hair decided to jump ship. Like mine. Like, I'm not bald, but it's certainly getting there because this forehead didn't used to be this gigantic.
Yeah, mine too.
Back in the day.
I used to have a very low brow.
As a matter of fact, if you look over the top of my head, not just looking at my head, but look at the heads of the guys on the screen, they all have giant foreheads and receding hairlines.
Because we're old.
That's what happens when you have three old white guys.
I had no idea that March was going to do that. No one has to wear masks in any store.
Allegedly, I don't know if it's definitely happening or not, but it's been said.
Well, how do they even know what the numbers are going to be? I thought it was all about just.
Well, because the numbers have been dropping pretty significantly.
But they rose like crazy a month ago.
They did, but they rose with a less severe version of COVID.
Yeah, that's true.
So I mean, it's the rise in deaths you got to worry about, not the rise in cases.
Yeah.
So that's the bigger.
It's not much of a risk to get a bad.
It's the rise in hospitalizations and the rise in deaths. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, which a large part of that's been put aside because of the vaccine. Even though
a lot
anybody who's listening who doesn't believe us think that's the case, the vaccine has been helpful for those of you who chose not to get vaccinated. We did our part, and fuck you. So anyway, but that's my statement for today on that.
I do think, though, I imagine if people talk about Venn diagrams, I'm pretty sure that truckers and people who don't like the vax ever liked the vax, even when it was. I think that there's a big overlap there.
Well, no, that's being very you're being very generalized regarding truckers. There's plenty of truckers on both sides of the political spectrum.
Yeah,
both sides.
No, I didn't say what politics they were. I just think for your truckers aren't that big into science.
I knew a guy had a PhD, but he was a trucker. He just preferred driving a truck.
Yeah, but he had a PhD in philosophy, probably, right?
He had a PhD regardless. It takes work to get one.
Philosophers don't know shit about science.
PhDs are all philosophy, Greg. What do you think PhD stands for?
I thought you could have a PhD in, like, biochemistry.
You can, but what's PhD stand for?
It doesn't matter.
What do the initials stand for, Greg?
It stands for potential.
No.
No. Head draining.
Potential head damage. I think that's what you got. You have a PhD in potential head damage.
Yes. It's philosophy of.
It's Doctor of Philosophy, but they make it PhD instead of
exactly.
DPH.
But
right.
I mean, that's
Doctor of Philosophy.
Term.
That's my point.
That has nothing to do with what we're talking about. You're quibbling. This is such a quibble. If you're a philosophy PhD, that doesn't mean.
I think you're just being specifically against people who've got PhDs in philosophy for some reason.
Think I don't trust them about science.
Right, you don't trust them. That's the point.
No, why should I? A philosopher that knows shit about chemistry.
So why should anybody trust you about science, Greg?
They shouldn't.
Exactly.
They'd be idiots.
So yes, exactly.
But I do know
So
that
anything
most
you
truckers
say should not be paid attention to.
Most truckers, though, didn't go to college even for any science. They never took a science course.
You know, I'm unwilling to say that most truckers did not go to college. I don't know where you get those statistics
from. So if you
from.
want to lie to our listeners, fine.
Where did you read those statistics? Where did you get that information from?
It doesn't matter. It's just common knowledge.
No, it's not common knowledge, Greg. It's common Greg knowledge. It's another one of your generalities that you've spewing out without having any specific evidence to back it up. Now, if you have evidence, I'll believe you. But common knowledge, of course, is that it's okay to breathe on other people and expect them not to get sick too. That's common.
So you never use common knowledge.
I never attribute things to common knowledge.
Sometimes it's useful,
because that's the lazy way of trying to make a point.
It's lazy. You can do the research after, but if you constantly
do the research after.
Like for me to say, most homeless people have some kind of addiction.
Yes.
I don't have proof for that, but.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that either.
But I'm right, though. You know I'm right.
I don't know that you're right.
Yeah, you know I'm right.
That most homeless people have some form of addiction?
You don't think?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Most homeless people, they're just out there for fun. They're like,
No, they have bad circumstances. That doesn't mean that they're addicted, that most of them are. I would be unwilling to say that unless I actually saw statistics which bore that out. That's irresponsible. You're an irresponsible journalist, Greg. You're an irresponsible dishwasher, Greg.
Statistics actually do point it out. I just don't have them in front of me.
Statistics. Can
you not hear me?
I can hear you fine. I can hear you slur your words just fine.
It wasn't slurring. I just put the cigarette in my mouth.
I just put the cigarette in my mouth.
Statistics with a cigarette in my mouth.
I get your messy mouth from those cigarettes in your mouth.
I just put 10 saltines in my mouth, and it was hard to enunciate.
I just put an entire sleeve of saltines in my mouth, and for some reason you can't hear me clearly. I don't know why. Anyway, well, listen, we have come to an interesting part. This was an interesting client for today because it kind of started oddly and it went in all sorts of directions. This is what happens when Brendan isn't around. we lose total focus.
We still talked about truckers, though.
We did. It was there. I think I'm starting to forget exactly what the show is about.
We talked about the Freedom Convoy, which is some thing that I didn't even hear about until today.
I'm surprised. That was like big news that you hadn't heard about it. But to believe in science, you know that because science told you to. Science told you to believe in science and not to believe in truckers.
Because science is self-correcting.
Because they're not educated people.
Yeah, science is self-correcting. Truckers aren't educating at all because they don't have any education.
You think truckers are not self-correcting?
They're not self-correcting. They're not self-educated. Like I'm sure
they're not. You're self-educated.
You're probably confused because you're thinking of Rhodes Scholars, a trucker who's on the road all the time.
Oh, good one. That's a good one, Greg. You get the Dad Joke of the Day award.
It's a different thing. Most truckers are not Rhodes Scholars.
Right.
They're highway scholars.
Yes.
Which means they know where the good whores are, lot lizards are, and what truck stops, the prettiest lot lizards.
Uh-huh. I think if you're calling them a lot lizard, they're probably not so pretty.
Probably true, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a spectrum.
Or
sure there's some who are
Komodo dragons because of the fact of Cheetah's involvement in looking at
some are
Komodo
better than
dragon
others.
porn.
Lot lizards are the worst, ugly, homeliest prostitutes. That's common
of the
knowledge.
lizards.
That's proven.
Is it
common knowledge?
That's common knowledge.
But I'm sure there's some that are prettier than others.
Right. What about crack whores?
Well,
where they fall in that spectrum in your
I'm sure there's some crack whores who are they're like the Beyonce of crack whores. On that spectrum, they look pretty good compared to the other ones. Not great.
All right. Well, I think this is a good time to possibly close things down where we're talking about crack whores before Greg's imagination goes into more wild and wondrous areas.
You brought up crack whores. I brought up lot lizards. It's a big difference.
I'm just saying, we have to do this before your imagination goes into wild and wondrous areas, and then we'll never get off the computer. Anyway, so I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. Whoever tuned in, we knew we had one person from the Happy Hour News team that did not sponsor our show today, everybody. They were our fake sponsor for the day. Although they are a real podcast, so check them out. Happy Hour News Team. They're located at happyhournewsteam.com. I believe you have to spell out the word hour, but if you want to find them in podcast land, you can't spell the word hour. You have to just put an HR, so it's Happy HR News Team. Anyway, on behalf of Greg and myself and the missing Brendan, this has been another episode of the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker.
Your consultation with the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker has ended. You may pay your retainer at www.qsblaw.org. Please exit to the right of the water cooler and grab a candy from the front desk. We hope to see you again soon, but you need to leave now. I said leave. Why don't they ever listen? Get out! Get out!